See, the thing about the king, he had love out here in these trenches. You know, plenty much love out here in these trenches. Honor, respect, and all type of pull. You know what I'm talking about? But what make this cat King David so unique, you know what I'm saying, and different from a lot of high influential people is this here. So we think about people like the BMF crews, the Frank Lucases, you know what I'm saying, the Fluky Stokes, you know what I'm saying, the Nicky Barnes. We think about all these cats, the Rick Rosses, and these guys are legendary figures, right? But see, most of these people that a lot of cats look up to, they known because they move 100 keys a week, you know what I'm saying? Or they got bodies on top of bodies on top of bodies, you know what I'm talking about? But this cat King David, he ain't had none of that. He didn't do none of that. He ain't lived long enough to even see, you know what I'm saying, that type of power within the drug game, you know what I'm saying? And he didn't have a mind frame or didn't want to have the mind frame to be out here on some super treachery in these streets, you know, body snatching cats. But yet and still he grew to be one of the most biggest influential people in this culture, you know what I'm saying? So it shows you, you know what I'm saying, the mind, the soul, and the heart of a person, you know what I'm saying? And his words, his creed, and his deeds still live on to this day, you know? That's real leadership and guidance. I see that the brother carried a real torch, you know what I'm talking about? And you'll never meet another man like King David, you know what I'm saying? Now, we know my man was riding with the steppers and the hitters. You know, it ain't no secret, no doubt about it. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, he got a little arrest record on him, you know what I'm saying? But my man was still out here doing what he do like he do, you know what I'm saying? And just to break it down for you, like I could break it down for you, you know, King David was born May 24th, 1947 in Mississippi. His family moved to Chicago when he was a young boy. They formed the Black Gangster Disciples or the Devil Disciples on the south side of Chicago, and they grew quickly to be in numbers and influence. As a teenager, Barksdale was arrested several times for minor offenses. These early arrests typically involved charges such as theft, assault, and other petty crimes associated with gang activity. Big arrest, 1966, Barksdale was arrested for involvement in a gang-related shooting. The incident was part of a violent clash between the Black Disciples and the rival gangs, particularly the Blackstone Rangers. During the 1960s, the United States government initiated various programs aimed at addressing poverty and urban decay, inadvertently providing funds and resources to street organizations in the city of Chicago. One such program was the War on Poverty, introduced by President Lyndon B. Johnson as part of his Great Society initiative. Through this effort, federal funds were located to community organizations and social service agencies to uplift disenfranchised communities. But you know how that go. However, some of these funds ended up in the hands of street organizations, either directly or indirectly. This was partly due to the lack of oversight and accountability. You know what I'm talking about? And that's how shit go, you know. Additionally, the government focused on community development, often meant partnering with local leaders, including those affiliated with street nations, in an attempt to address social issues at the grassroots level. In the 1950s and 60s, Chicago experienced a significant demographic shift as white flight saw many white residents move to suburbs, leaving behind a vacuum of urban neighborhoods. The exodus contributed to a rise of African American populations in these areas, leading to the formation of black street gangs. The Vice Lords, founded in 1958 by Edward Pepperlo Perry, and the Black Peace Stones, founded by Jeff Ford and Eugene Harrison, emerged as prominent organizations. These gangs were initially formed for protection and community support in the face of systematic discrimination and economic disenfranchisement. Leaders like Perry and Ford played pivotal roles in shaping these groups, which grew in influence and power, significantly impacting Chicago's social and political landscape. But check this, in the 1960s, African Americans in Chicago faced numerous political and social issues, including racial segregation, police brutality, inadequate housing, and limited economical opportunities. The civil rights movement highlighted these disparities, you know what I'm talking about, but progress was slow. The city's black population often found themselves in overcrowded and underfunded neighborhoods due to discriminatory practices like redlining. Street gangs like the Vice Lords and the Black Peace Stones played complex roles in these dynamics. While initially formed for protection and community solidarity, Their influence extended into political and social spheres. For instance, the Black P-Stones under Jeff Ford received funding from federal programs like the War on Poverty, which they used to create community organizations and social programs. These gangs provided a form of leadership and social organizations in their communities, sometimes filling voids left by systematic neglect. However, the involvement was purely positive. The criminal activities associated with these gangs, such as drug trafficking and violence, also contributed to the instability and negative perceptions of black neighborhoods. Thus, while street gangs in Chicago during the 1960s were a response to social and political marginalization, their impact was dual faceted, offering both community support and contributing to ongoing challenges. Now let's spin the block on this. In the 1960s, the Italian Mafia, particularly the Chicago outfit, had significant influence in operations in Chicago, extending into various illegal activities such as gambling, loan sharking, extortion, drug trafficking, you name it, pimping and pandering and everything they handling, you know? The outfit was a powerful criminal organization that maintained control over many aspects of the city's underworld and had connections to political figures and law enforcement, which helped shield its activities. The relationship between the Italian Mafia and black organizations, including street gangs, was complex and often based on pragmatic alliances. The Mafia recognized the rising power and influence of these black gangs in certain neighborhoods and sometimes formed partnerships to further their mutual interests. For instance, the Mafia would sometimes provide black gangs with drugs to distribute, benefiting from the gangs' control over local territories while avoiding direct involvement in these areas. In exchange, black gangs like the Vice Lords or the Black P-Stones gained access to lucrative drug markets and received protection or tactic approvals from the Mafia, which helped them solidify their power. However, these relationships were not always stable and could involve significant tension and conflict among these cats, you know? The Mafia's primary focus was on maintaining its own power and profits, and alliances with the black organizations were often opportunistic rather than based on any sense of solidarity. These dynamics contributed to a complex and often volatile underworld in Chicago, where the different criminal organizations operated with overlapping interests and occasional cooperation, but also with underlying competition and mistrust, you know? But yeah, let's spin the block on this guy right here, Mayor Daley. What you know about these cats, huh? From that era, you know what I'm saying? Mayor Richard J. Daley, who served as the mayor of Chicago from 1955 to 1976, had a complex and often controversial leadership with various organizations, crime figures, including those within the Irish mob and other elements in Chicago. Richard Daley was a powerful political figure and a central figure in the democratic political machine in Chicago. His tenure as mayor was marked by his strong control over city policies, extensive patronage, networks, influences, local, state, and national politics. The Irish mob in Chicago, often referred to as the North Side Gang, had historically significant influence in the city, especially during the Prohibition era. By the 1950s, the remnants of this influence persisted, although the Italian Mafia, particularly the Chicago outfit, had become more dominant. Daley, of Irish descent, was part of a political landscape where ethnic and criminal affiliations were often intertwined. His rise to power was supported by various local political and business figures, some of whom had connections to organized crime, including the Irish mob.